of all the great things in this episode, I have to say the Chandrillan outfits and fashion is the best. Would you say the same thing, Grace?
100% Jeremiah. You're speaking my language. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Andor-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Grace. I'm so excited for this, Jeremiah.
Yeah. And we are back with Andor Season 2, Episode 1, 1 year later. Kind of a lame title, I thought, but
Yeah, I
most
guess.
anticlimactic title.
I got so confused too. It was like 4 BBY, and I had to pause and like remember, like, okay, BBY, Battle of Yavin. I guess the last season was 5 BBY. We only have like 5 years until like Andor dies. All of this, whatever. It was confusing.
Spoilers.
I don't know. Oh yeah, sorry. Spoilers for Rogue One.
But yes, so I'm assuming every arc they're gonna do the next year, BBY 3,
Yeah.
BBY.
So maybe we should just clarify for anyone who doesn't know what BBY is.
Oh yeah, before the Battle of Yavin. So the Star Wars timeline is based off of A New Hope, the Battle of Yavin, the Death Star, trench run stuff. So it's kind of weird that that's the BC AD type thing that we have, but whatever. You gotta start somewhere. It's funny because that's just for us. But I guarantee you, like in the universe, they don't have the same. They don't base it off the same thing.
They don't base it off the same thing. Yeah, interesting.
They're not gonna change the calendar.
Look, they created the new Republic, and they're like, all right, we're gonna completely overhaul
start over again.
Our like dating and numbering system. They might have. I mean, that's what they did with the French Revolution. So perhaps they were like, we've got to start fresh in order to make this Republic work. We've got to have a new dating system. It's interesting. I bet an answer exists out there. Hopefully, somebody can find it when listening to this podcast and let us know.
Yep. But before we get into everything, we just mentioned that we did cover Star Wars Celebration this weekend, and so Drew and I have a breakdown of all the big announcements and stuff, so the movies, shows, all that jazz, so go check that out. The one thing we did not cover because we recorded in the middle of the last day was the location and date of the next celebration, which is in LA.
Whoa.
In 2027. We're kind of mad because we thought they were going to do it next year. And so we got to wait 2 years. So, Grace, you going? You going to join us?
Yeah, I mean, LA, like, easy. How close is that? Way closer than Japan.
Right. So we're definitely going to have like a fan meet up there. So everyone listening, you have 2 years to prepare, save your money, get going on that. But obviously it's 2 years away, so we can't really plan anything yet. But we're excited for that. And go check out our breakdown on all the news and the movies and shows. It'll be a lot of fun. And let us know what you guys are looking forward to the most in the future of Star Wars. Grace, are you happy about Ryan Gosling being a lead in a movie?
I'm like not a big Ryan Gosling fan. Like, I'm not opposed to Ryan Gosling. I just am not like, oh my gosh, he's so hot. Like,
he's not a heartthrob for you.
No, like, I don't know. Like, I'm excited that, as I was mentioning to you earlier, like, I'm excited that he's in the movie because I think that means they'll actually make it, and I want to see more Star Wars movies in theaters. But like, Ryan Gosling as Ryan Gosling, I don't know. Maybe he'll look good as a Jedi.
I think he's just a pilot. That's a starfighter. I think the thing is about him, but I'm hoping that they make him like an alien species of some sort. So it's like we're not looking at Ryan Gosling and thinking Ryan Gosling's on screen. We actually see like a character that looks different than him, because I think big name actors, I feel like, are distracting on screen for me, at least. That like I see Ryan Gosling, not whatever his name is, but that's just
so
me.
Funny. Yeah. I feel like that's very unlikely that they do that, but I like your attitude, your perspective. What did you think about the wait? What did you think about the mall show announcement? I thought that was pretty exciting.
I'm super excited for that. That's probably the thing I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
But they said 2026. So like, when is that gonna be? Is that gonna be usually like a lot of the show, like full-time shows are going to be like in this first half of the year. So hopefully we'll get it January, February, March, somewhere in there. But who knows? They probably could delay it to the fall or something, which would be unfortunate. But
Yeah. I'm just curious if we're going to get some of the Kira stuff in that,
I
like some
I
of the
think
comics.
I think we will. I think that the show is going to cover everything from the Siege of Mandalore after he escaped to when he goes to Malachor, where he's trapped in Rebels season 2. I think we're gonna get everything, and so Kira is part of that. So we're gonna see him train her. I bet, which would be kind of cool.
Really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
But who knows? It's a long way away. We don't have any other details other than he's just trying to do his crime syndicate thing. And there is a leaked trailer that people have like on their phone from when they watched it. That was at the thing. I watched that. Pretty crazy stuff with what's going to happen. But
And then we don't have a date for Ahsoka season 2 either, do we?
no, that would be they start filming this coming week. This week they said, and then I'm guessing next summer because 2-3 months of filming. I'm pretty sure that they can get that out by next summer, maybe end of next summer.
Yeah.
So,
it's a
I'm
long
excited.
time. I wonder why it took them so long to get going on the second season.
Well, they got other things. They can't just do everything all at once.
They can. They
Like
have so much money.
I'm pretty sure that's why like the movie isn't gonna film this till this fall because I think they're gonna use the volume a lot. So Ahsoka, they have their stuff this summer, and then in the fall they'll be able to have it for the movie if they're gonna use it for that. So we got it's all that the rental space. There's only limited.
They need more volumes. Somebody
Yep.
give Disney
Well,
more money.
if you want to fund them for another one, Grace, go right. I'm sure they'll take your money. You probably paid for the one that they have with all your Grogu merch that you have.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we're rambling. We need to get into this. Andor season 2, episode 1. 1 year later, Grace, what are your overall thoughts on this first episode?
Oh, I was just really happy to be back in the world of Andor. Like, I did not rewatch the season in anticipation of season 2.
Dang.
I had watched like season 1 twice. Like when it first came out, I watched it as it was airing, and then I watched it again with my parents. So I felt like I had it like kind of cemented, and then I listened to lots of podcasts about it. But yeah, I like felt like the first episode just did such a good job of getting me like immediately back into the zone, despite the fact that I hadn't recently watched the first season and like hadn't necessarily been thinking a ton about these characters. And I don't know, I can see why this show has, and like the second season in particular, has been getting these rave reviews. Like from the start, it really draws you in. What did you think, Jeremiah?
I thought it was amazing. Like I was so engaged. Like the last like shot, like screenshot of like the blaster like going at the camera, like and it just stops. Like I literally yelled out loud, like "No, I want more! What's going on?"
Yeah,
Like I was so mad because like we're doing this thing where we're like doing one episode at a time, and I might watch both episodes, and Drew and I do both episodes tonight, episodes 2 and 3, but.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot to cover in a one podcast episode, but I don't know. Like, it was so good. I'm like, I had so good. I have to change our schedule, maybe how we're going to record. We might just double up tonight. But, like, I like how we got all these different, like, storylines going at one time. And I was super surprised that we got Krennic right off the bat. I thought, like, he was going to be, like, second half of the season when we get closer to the Death Star stuff. But it seems like, he's going to be the whole season. There's going to be following that arc of Death Star stuff. And
I was also surprised by that. That was the one point where I had to pause and be like, was he in season 1? And I just completely forgot. And then I was like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah. So that's a super, super exciting to like know that we're going to get all this because Director Krennic, he's just a cool, fun character. Well, not really fun, but like he's kind of evil, but like he's just a very interesting character and he's pretty intense. And I guess it's just going to be interesting watching the behind the scenes of the Death Star production and like what they got to do to like get the funding. And like we learn what the whole like Gorman thing is about. Like we heard about it in Rebels. We know season 1, Mon Mothma was like, talking to the Senate about like trade lanes getting cut off and like, well, what exactly happened? We know it's the Gorman massacre. That's all we know. Like what? Well, now we know what it's all about, and it's going to be interesting to like see it all play out, and it's probably gonna be really sad. One of these episodes might actually happen like, second arc. I'm guessing because I think trying to like understand like how it lines up with Rebels. I think, and the second arc is probably going to be we're going to see that massacre, and then arc 3 is when the Rebel Alliance will officially come together because that's kind of what it aligns with Rebels. I think so.
Hmm.
It'd be cool.
Just like in case somebody doesn't remember, why is Krennic so important? What's his significance to the larger Star Wars
Oh,
universe?
he is the director of the Death Star production, and so in Rogue One,
Mm.
he's like, this is my baby, this is my project. He gets it complete, and then
Vader does not want to give him credit. Do not choke on your
right.
ambitions.
Aspirations. That's what he says. This makes
Oh.
it. Don't choke on your aspirations because he does that pun. You got to use Vader and his puns. He's pretty funny. But yeah. So it's just gonna be interesting to see like how these stories also come together too. Like um, that's one of my favorite things in like storytelling when you have all these different storylines all separate from each other, but then they come together like in the end, which is technically going to be Rogue One ultimately, but like
Yeah.
you're going to see them get closer and closer and closer as we get to the end, and so like it's just exciting. And then I'm excited to see like the Mon Mothma stuff. Like this episode was very simple what was going on, but it was very interesting. Like I wonder how the whole like the crew of like Bix and Will and Brasso
Brasso.
and them and B2 emo, like
Oh.
how is that gonna play out? Like what is because they're all by themselves, like just living their life, harvesting wheat or something. Like how is that gonna come into play? And I don't know. Like this was just an amazing first episode, and I'm super hyped for what's to come. It's only gonna get
Yeah.
better. Like this is
Yeah.
probably the worst episode of the whole season. Probably that shows how great this is. But any other thoughts, Grace, before we jump in further?
No. My only thought is that I think maybe before the next episode, I'm gonna like try to trace the relevant episodes of Rebels that kind of connect to the larger plot. Because yeah, it was interesting to hear you talk about like where this might fit in within the
Yeah, it's
larger Star
season
Wars
3
universe
is
narratives.
when Mon Mothma gets rescued by
Hmm.
the Ghost Crew, and then
Hmm.
they establish the Rebel Alliance. And
Hmm.
I think we're gonna get a live action adaptation of that scene from Rebels.
Ooh.
I think they're just gonna redo that with we're gonna have Hera, we're gonna have Ezra, we're gonna have Sabine and Zeb. Like they're gonna be in the cockpit of the Ghost with Mon Mothma as she gives her speech. Like I'm excited to see that live action.
Do you have a reason to believe that? Like that seems.
Well, that's what like Andor is about. It's about the Rebel Alliance and how they come together, and like
Oh, so then maybe they'll give like Mon Mothma giving a speech, but I feel like they're not going to give us like any Jedi characters. It just seems like kind of
oh,
antithetical to the
but
show's
they're in that
vibe.
scene though. They're in the cockpit. They're all in that cockpit of the Ghost.
Yeah,
Like
maybe. I mean, I
they're
would
gonna
love that.
they're
I'm just
gonna
not
show
getting my
her.
hopes up.
They're gonna show
Hmm.
her doing that
Hmm.
speech, and that they can't retcon that Rebels scene by doing a completely different scene. So I think they're gonna do an adaptation, but
All right.
we'll see.
If you think so, let's manifest it.
And
I think so too.
and I think that like even in this episode with the Cassian story where he gets taken by those other rebels, like they don't even there's no communication between rebel cells, like they don't know each
Yeah.
other. So it's like
Yeah.
implying like we need better communication by being an alliance, and stuff like this wouldn't happen again where they like
Yeah.
don't trust each other. So
That was super interesting. All
yeah.
right, we should get into it. There's a
All
lot
right.
to discuss.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna try and do like each like storyline separate from one another because it goes back and forth every 5 seconds and like that'd be
Yeah.
way too complicated. So we'll just start with like I call them the crew, like Bix and Will and them. So
Mm.
that was like the most simple thing. So we'll go over that first. So we get this cool scene like at night, and then we see this like little like I don't know what you want to call it, like trailer type thing, but it's like an X shape in red or whatever. And you see it starts out with a camera going in, like okay, it's just a camera going into the thing, whatever. But then you hear footsteps, like oh,
Mm.
this is like a POV of someone like going in. Like that's an interesting approach. And then he's walking like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? And it turns and looks into the mirror, and it's as a Dr. Gorsuch or whatever. He's the guy that did
Yeah.
the torture of Bix.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is definitely a dream sequence because a random doctor is not going to be the first one in to like take down rebels or whatever. So like he goes in and he goes to where Bix is and he grabs the blanket and starts pulling it off and she starts freaking out and then everyone's there to like wake her. Hey, everything's okay, blah blah blah. And so as Brasso, he's there calming her down. Then we get introduced to a new character, Talia, which is like
Talia.
he met a lady friend on this planet, which is we find out later it is Mina Rao is the name of the planet, new planet name. And so I'm like, okay, this is where they're at. They're in this farming, like agriculture culture. That's a kind of a. Is that even? I don't know. Whatever. I was like, I never said that those two words back to back in my life. But language is a funny thing. But yeah. So that's what they're doing. They're on this planet. That's where they're hiding out.
And you forgot an essential detail. B2 Emo shows up in that scene.
Yep.
Asking about Bix, asking if she's okay, and telling everyone that Cassian is going to be home soon and would want to know how Bix is doing.
Oh, yep.
Oh, immediately melted my heart. I didn't know how much I missed B2.
Yeah, I know he's your favorite droid, right?
Oh no, I don't know that he's my favorite droid, but
I
like
remember
him.
you talking about him in the past that you love. Because didn't you say you have earrings?
B2 Emo earrings, exactly. Good memory.
How often do you wear those? Do you ever wear them out?
I wear them I wear them to school a lot. No one would ever know what they are, so you might as well.
Funny. But yeah, so they're all there, and then the next scene that we have with them, that's when we get the title Mina Rao. And if you are paying attention, like on like the mountainous structure of like in the middle of the field, like where all like the housing is and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a number 432.
Okay.
So like, what is that number reference to? And then later on, they make a reference to number 500.
Yeah.
So there must be hundreds of these around this planet. They're just kind of like different settlements of like this is their section to take care of, and so this is 432. And then we get to this kind of funny scene of like Bix is fixing Bix fix. Well, what's up with all these words like rhyming together?
I'm still stuck on agriculture. I'm wanting to know what the etymology is. Anyway, keep going. I'll look it up.
But she's fixing like what I think is like a watering fountain system or whatever with Will and Will. I think it's Will Ford.
Yeah, to remind everyone who Will is, because I kind of forgot when I was watching this.
So in season 1, him and his father ran like a junk shop kind of, and that was kind of like where the special radio tower was that Bix went to like send messages to Luthen and receive messages. His father gets killed because the Empire finds out about this radio, and so then this kid is on his own. He's a teenager. He's probably like late teens, early 20s now at this point, but so he's there. He was one of the ones that escaped with the crew, and so they're just trying to fix this farming equipment, and Bix looks off in the distance and they say, "Hey, look who's coming!" And it's this young lady that has a strong interest in Will, and Will is not happy about it. And I'm like, Will,
he is happy about it. He's not happy that Bix is teasing him about it.
No, I don't know.
He seems very interested in this young woman.
He doesn't want to confess his feelings, and I'm telling him like, when a woman shows that much interest to you, don't let it slip through your fingers. Like, she might be the only gal in the galaxy that can show him that much attention. It's like so like obvious or whatever. But he's whatever, and she's like the water girl apparently. Like she just like, I got some water for you guys. Like meaning she like walk across this giant field to like give him water.
She has the like quintessential milkmaid look.
But yeah, so that was kind of just a fun Bix giving him a hard time, whatever. And
But
so
we also get there the like interesting tidbit that like one of the reasons that Will is like anxious about his relationship with this girl. What is her name? I forget.
I wrote it down.
Oh, like Ela
Bila.
or
It's Bila.
Bela, yeah.
Bela.
Yeah, Bela is that her parents or like her mom maybe doesn't approve because Bela and her family are like official residents of this planet and have all the proper
Right.
documents, and like Bix and Will and their crew like don't have the appropriate visa.
Yeah. That is true. That is a major detail we get like later on too about like residents and stuff like that. Who's joined us? We got Grand Moff Will has joined us
Wow.
in the live stream.
Yay.
Um, but yeah, so that's gonna be a major thing. And the question that I have though is Bila going to join the crew, or is she
Mm.
not going to be able to make it off this planet by the end of this arc? I'm really worried that
Yeah. I'm
she's not
worried
going to
that
make
Bela's
it.
gonna die.
I'm kind of yeah.
Yeah.
I have in my notes. I should say this that Bila's coming with water, and
Yeah.
Bix is like, yeah, he's very thirsty.
Yeah.
I
I
think it's
also
funny that
noticed that.
they take our real world slang and put it into Star Wars, which I thought was kind of funny. But while the three of them there are talking, Bix, she fixes the thing, it seems like, and they're talking, and then a ship arrives high up in space,
Mm.
and they're
Mm.
like, "What kind of? I don't recognize that ship. What is that?" And they're like, "It's Imperial." And
Mm.
Bila's like, "I've never seen that, but my dad would know about it."
Mm.
And so they're kind of like, what's they're kind of confused on what this giant ship is, because that's a new ship. I don't recognize that ship also, so it's
No.
like a weird, big giant cargo looking ship or something.
Looks
Uh,
ominous.
yes, definitely. Um, and then we get one more scene with the crew, and it's just kind of like everyone talking about what's going on. They got some information about this ship, and it's like a census type ship where they're coming in to like make sure production's going well and see, checking who's who and whatnot. And so,
Yeah, they're checking immigration documents.
right. And so it's just very interesting to like think that they haven't been there for years and years. It's been a long time. Like Bila doesn't even remember. She's, it's implying that she's like a teenager. So it's like, if she doesn't remember, it's probably been 10 plus years since they've been there. So it's like, well, why are they showing up now? Type of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so is there something else on this planet? Did they somehow track this crew that we are familiar with, that like they got some kind of intel that maybe these are the Ferrex insurgents or something like that?
Hmm.
But we don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence that they show up. Um, but we know from the trailer that a lot goes down on this wheat planet. And so like I'm excited to see how it all plays out. B2 emo is sad as always. He's because
Hmm.
Cassian hasn't come, because he was supposed to come the next day and he hasn't arrived. And so,
Cassian.
yep.
Cassian.
So that's all we really got from this episode about that.
Yeah.
Um,
It seems to me that there is some sort of like, I mean, obviously this is not like a insightful take, but some sort of resource production is taking place on this planet. And like I'm curious if it's just like whatever they're making wheat, or if it's something that's like going to be part of the Empire's larger plans, like related to the Death Star, like the same way they need the specific mineral from Gorman.
right. I'm thinking it's just the wheat thing. Did you read the Ahsoka book?
Mm-hmm.
So like on that planet, like the Empire comes to that planet because it's an agriculture culture, and like the land is good for production. They just use that planet for a short time to like produce as much food as possible, and then they stripped it of its resources, and then they moved on. Now because they've been working here for years and years, it seems like they've been continually been every year doing more and more crops, so it's like a more sustainable planet. And
Hmm.
so I'm guessing it's just the wheat thing, because if there's at least 500 of these things, like the whole planet is big enough to like produce all this wheat.
Yeah.
And so
Which then makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense that as the empire is like growing increasingly desperate and in need of more resources to fund its like efforts to fight insurgents, it's going to need to go to like food producing planets to get resources to whatever
Right.
fund its efforts.
Yeah, because in the like, because we see like, you know, like food portions in Star Wars where it's like little dry sticks and stuff. Like Luke eats it in Empire Strikes Back, and then like you get some details like in Lost Stars, the book, where like they just get like little like bland packets of food and stuff. So it's like Star Wars food when you're in the the Empire is not that flavorful, but it's nutritious, and so it gets the job done. But next up, we can do the Mon Mothma stuff next. So they're planning for a wedding, an
Wow.
arranged child wedding to hide embezzlement of funds to help to fund a rebellion. How
Okay,
romantic!
they look like they're at least 16, so we don't
Well, no,
know what the
no,
legal
because
age of adulthood is in
no, because
Chandrilla.
in season one, Lita is 13 and the guy
Oh,
is 14. So now they're
okay.
14 and
Well,
15.
14 and 15, yeah, we don't know what the legal age of child
And
marriage is in
it
Chandrilla.
should be noted that like throughout human history, like teenage marriage was just, that's like teenagers are like 13, 14, 15. Like you're an adult in a lot of cultures historically. And
Yeah.
so like,
Also, like, jokes aside, I'm not sure if this is like a marriage. Like, they're clearly getting married, but like, I wonder if it's more of a like betrothal, like they're committing to each other, and perhaps like the official marriage elements kick in a couple of years.
uh,
That's going to be the way that I think about it in my head.
until they get married next episode.
No, no, no. I understand that they're getting married. I'm just wondering if like perhaps like they get married and then like they move in together in a couple years. That's what
I,
I think is
I
happening,
admire
Jeremiah. Yep.
your hope. Marriages are built on hope, right, or something like that. That's
Mm,
how it
mm,
goes.
mm.
But but yes, so the big celebration is coming up within the next couple of days or something, and all the people around the galaxy, all the rich senators and other rich people are coming to Chandrilla, to the Mothma estate, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool to see Chandrilla. I think that's the first time we've seen Chandrilla. So
Yeah, first time. Okay, okay, let's stop there. What were your thoughts on Chandrilla? Because I replayed that scene a bunch of times trying to decide what the vibe is, especially compared to Alderaan and Naboo, which I feel like are the two comparable like bougie nice planets that we've seen.
yep. Well, one quick. So, Hold My Tea joined. We're doing Andor season 2, episode 1 breakdown. So, spoilers, spoilers. If you don't want to get spoilers, get out of here right now. Hold My Tea. But I don't know. We didn't get a lot. I think it's the Mothma estate, so it's a rich family's estate, and so it's probably not the most reflective of all of Chandrilla.
Hmm.
And it was like on like a mountain in the middle of nowhere. It seemed like
Yeah.
I have to go back and look and see exactly how it was
Yeah.
placed, but
Exactly.
um, I
I
don't know. I
felt
think it was
like
cool.
if like Naboo to me like reminds me of like Italy, Tuscany, and then Alderaan is kind of like Pacific Northwest in the U.S. or like Swiss Alps or something. I felt like Chandrilla was giving me maybe like kind of like Asia vibes. I don't know, especially with like the way that they dress, the like mountain and the green. That was the comparison I made after too much thought about it.
Right. Hold My Tea right now. It's in the morning in the United States, so that's why we're up. We're not in the middle of the night right now. Like she's in Europe somewhere. So,
Oh, cool.
but I don't know enough about like cultural aesthetics really, because I understand like Naboo was Italy. Like I knew that because that's just kind of like
Where they filmed it.
where they filmed it and stuff. So, but like it was very. I could get behind maybe that some of the Asian stuff. Just like some of like their clothing was kind of
Yeah.
more roby, which I feel
Yes,
like is
exactly.
more like Chinese, Japanese type of thing. But I don't know. Maybe anyone listening, if you're from a culture that kind of has clothing like this or like architecture or something like in
Yeah.
something, let us know in the comments if like you recognize anything or if anything was
Hmm.
familiar to you that
Hmm.
could help us pinpoint that. But yeah, I just thought it was cool. It was like a lot of like stone and marble like
Yeah.
hallways and like
Yeah.
stairways and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was also interesting to me though, and like obviously we kind of got this vibe from last season, but just like this drove it home to me. Um what a like how rich Mon Mothma is. Like again, similar to Bail Organa and similar to Padme, like all of these rebel leaders are coming from like the absolute upper echelons of society. um, which is like, fine. They're doing good with their resources, but I feel like it is of note that we have yet to see like outside of our like rebel fighters on the ground, like Andor and some of the Jedi, like I don't know, examples. Yeah, we have like two very clear groups of people. We have the people who are on the ground, like in the middle of the forest, subsisting on like no food, fighting for the rebellion. And then we have these like incredibly wealthy and powerful forces fighting for the rebellion.
I think it just points to like everyone of every demographic needs to fight the Empire. Like those with the most power and resources, they have to fund and give resources to those that are, boots on the ground, giving their lives. Like just think like Luthen wouldn't be able to do all that he does without all this money that he gets
Hmm.
through,
Hmm. Hmm.
Mon Mothma and
Hmm.
all that stuff. So it's like an interesting sociological thing, like the sociology of a rebellion. Like that's
Hmm.
a book
Yeah.
that they should like. There's just like it's like a in universe book that um like a real life like in our real life scholar, like he wrote it from the perspective of like a scholar within the Star Wars universe, like explaining why the Empire fell, like
Huh.
post episode 6. So it's like written as like a history book
Yeah.
and sociological breakdown of the fall of the Empire within the Star Wars universe. I've never read
Yeah.
that, but it's just interesting, like someone like explaining the rebellion and how it functioned, like from that perspective, like in a book would be kind of like a textbook fashion. I don't know, be kind of interesting.
That would be
But
super interesting.
um,
Yeah. I just think it's interesting that we never see any like this is not really related to your point, but like in the US, I feel like our politicians are not necessarily like multimillionaires or billionaires. Some of them are, but not all of them. And like in the Star Wars universe, it seems like they all are.
yeah, it might be a lot of truth to that. I think because I feel like when it's like a planetary thing,
Hmm.
like you have to like since you're representing like the whole planet,
Hmm.
like you have to be someone that can represent the whole planet, which is someone
Yeah.
who's rich and who has all the resources and has business connections with the whole planet. Like
Yeah.
how like the economy and trade and stuff works on your planet. Like it's not as simple as just you're a senator from Oregon or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's fundamentally different. Where like you can't just have a low level. I don't want to like insult people. Like a low level like person represent a
Yeah.
whole planet in the whole galactic senate type of thing. And so
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. And so it's like, but then you also like got Bail Organa. He married the queen of Alderaan. So
Yeah.
like he might have been like still like somewhere up there just because they have, how do you get a date with
The queen of the entire
the
planet.
princess or
Yeah.
whatever. But like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
really interesting.
I think that's another good point actually, is that like I don't like Alderaan, Chandrila, and Naboo, none of them seem to have necessarily like democratic methods of appointing their representatives, right? Like Padme just gets appointed by the queen. Bail gets appointed because he's married to the queen. And Mon Mothma, like who knows, but like probably because she has this huge estate and seems to be very well connected. So
Right.
it's a good point. Anyway.
And yeah. But yeah, so the party's happening, or the preparations are happening. Mon Mothma's going around saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. And then she sees someone off in the distance, like, "Why is he here?" And I'm like, "Who's he?
Ooh,
What's going
yeah.
on? Who did you think it was before the reveal?
I thought it was Bail.
You thought it was Bale?
Yeah, who
Interesting,
did you
because
think it
like,
was?
well, I saw like the concern on her face, so it was definitely
Yeah.
someone she didn't want there. But
I
like,
thought maybe the Emperor for a second.
For a second, I was like, well, who else could? I'm just going through things. I'm like, can't be the Emperor. He's not gonna go to some child
Yeah.
wedding from like, and he knows that Mon Mothma is like pressing against him all night. He's not there to support her.
Yeah.
But like, I know from like the trailer, like Krennic and Mon Mothma interact sometime. So I thought, oh, maybe Krennic is showing up, and then, like she knows that he's doing something shady, even though the Death Star thing is like under wraps. No one knows about it. Like I thought it was Krennic we were gonna show up to this wedding, but nope. We find out it was Luthen. I'm like, oh, that's a fun surprise.
Yeah.
And she's like, Dank Ferrick, why is he here? Like, he was not happy to be there. And so it was just interesting how, like, he's there, and then his assistant, I forget her name. I think
I
it starts
forget
with
her
an L.
name too.
I forgot
They
to
all
look it
kind of
up.
have like similar sounding names. Like,
Kind of, I don't know, something. So
what's Mon Mothma's sister's name?
cousin Vel.
Oh,
Vel or
Vel.
Val.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's an E or an A,
Yeah,
but I think
Val.
it's
Anyway,
Vel,
I felt like
E-L.
the Luthen's assistant had a similar name.
But she, so all of them are there, and they're like,
Oh, Clea. Her name is Clea.
Clea, that's right. Clea. So like, the question is like, at some point, is anything gonna like, are people gonna see these four interact in a way that raises suspicion? That's like my worry.
Yeah. I'm worried too. Can they be a bit more careful? Like, what's all this interacting?
But it's also that, Luthen does make the point, and Clea says, like, everyone, we're all clients. Like, you've all been to the shop. Like, there's no like danger because you're just customers, and like and Luthen's like basically like, you're one of my best customers. Like, I'm gonna be here to support you and your family, type of thing. But he came not to support Mon Mothma, but to support the father of this groom, who is a client also. So it's like he adds that little separation where he's not there to see Mon Mothma, he's there to see the other guy, which adds separation, which I think is smart on his part.
I agree.
And whole time Luthen's freaking about Cassian. He's like, we know he got off the planet, but there hasn't been any news. And he's like freaking out about Clea all the time. Like, hey, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? She's like, calm down. I can't send any messages. Calm down, guy.
Yeah.
We just gotta wait. And so like I feel like we see his anxiety in this episode that we didn't see last season. Like, sure, there was worry, but like here I felt like he was starting to get into a panic mode a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I was like, does he really care about Cassian? Like, what's his...
Not, I don't think it's about Cassian specifically. It's the mission that he was on.
Yeah, like I think so too, because he doesn't seem like the like cares for individuals sort of guy.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting the next 2 episodes to see how the four of them interact, and if anyone looks over and like raises their eyebrows a little bit at them. I'm just looking through my notes.
What do we think about what's Mon Mothma's daughter, Leda? Leda is
Leda, I think. Leda, yeah.
Leda's wedding dress.
What do I think of it? It looks like a white wedding dress with whatever what is like the veil, like what is that like called? Like what is that like material called? Because I feel like there's a lot of that over the whole thing.
Oh, like chiffon, maybe?
I don't know.
Mesh,
mesh.
I don't know. I didn't study fashion. I don't know these books.
I don't know. You're fashion. You like fashion. But yeah, I thought it was cool. Like you see all her like bridal crew like covering her eyes. All right, you can look, and they all like freak out about the dress. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's like that's actually a good point you brought that up. Like that's a good scene, and it's also like quite sad because of course a 14-year-old would be like super excited about the wedding from the perspective of like, oh my gosh, I get to like wear a pretty dress and like hang out with my friends and people get to throw a party in my honor, and like perhaps is not fully processing like why her mom is doing this and like what being married to this person for the rest of her life is going to mean for
right. And I think
her well-being.
I think something very notable, though, about Leda's character and this whole marriage thing is from last season, we see the whole thing like Leda's a brat teenage girl being mean to Mon Mothma, whatever. But like later on in the season, we see Leda like in a like a class, like a Chandrillan like cultural class, where
Hmm.
like she's learning like the customs and stuff, and like Lita really likes the what's a like a
Mm-hmm.
not like a chant, what's like a code of conduct, like a what's the term I'm looking for, like it's a
Mantra.
mantra type thing. Like they would repeat these things, like she's learning these, she's excited about celebrating Chandrillan culture. So for her,
Yeah.
this marriage is like her celebrating her culture and embracing her roots and
Yeah.
something. Whereas like we find out later with the groom that he doesn't see it the same way. It seems like he's not excited about the marriage. He's just kind of doing it because his father is expecting him to. It's kind of like the vibe we get. We'll talk about that later, but like I
Yeah.
think that adds an interesting element that Lita is excited for this cultural practice
Yeah.
and she believes in it to as
Yeah.
much as she can understand as a 14-year-old. Like she probably doesn't understand the gravity of kind of how oppressive this can be. And
Yeah.
so like it's just an interesting element.
It is interesting. And it's interesting too because like as you know, I'm sure you talked about a lot with season 1, it seems like Mon Mothma is like a lot less interested in these traditional elements of Chandrillan culture. Like she is perhaps resentful that she was forced into an arranged marriage and was hopeful that like her daughter wouldn't have to have an arranged marriage and would be able to have more freedoms. But her daughter, who has grown up in, I don't know. I mean, she's grown up in an environment of privilege, but she's also grown up in an environment where the empire was in control, has like picked this for herself.
Right. Very, very interesting stuff. Um, and so should mention, so then one of the people that Mon Mothma runs into is her childhood friend Tay from season 1, that
Hmm.
he's running the foundation that she
Yeah.
is trying to fund, embezzle money through and hide funds through. Um, and he's running through, something's going on. He's implying that there's something going on, an issue, but like we don't know. Like we don't know exactly
Yeah.
what it is, but he's like, we need to talk. And when there's him and Mon Mothma are gonna talk a little bit, like Mon Mothma gets pulled away to address something with Lita. And so it's like, what's happening? Because this
Yeah.
whole marriage is happening so that the father of the groom can help fix cook the books so that this foundation thing is still working good with hiding the funds. And so perhaps going to hit the fan soon, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. He's
um,
giving me big Rush Clovis vibes.
that's Padme's other like love interest type person. Yeah. Um, you saying
Yeah.
Tay
Like
is
who
giving
was
those kind of vibes?
Yeah, Tay is giving those vibes, don't you think? I feel like Rush was always coming to Padme when he was having issues. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I felt like Tay had pretty good vibes last season, but like you said, something has clearly happened. He's on the rocks with his wife. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like he is going to be causing problems for Mon in coming episodes, but I guess we'll see.
Do you trust Tay? Do you think like he has good
No.
intentions this whole time, or do you think he has
Good
something up his show?
intentions. Yeah, I do think he has good intentions like in general, but I feel like perhaps like because he's in this like emotionally weakened state or because he's maybe not as committed to the like tenets of the rebellion as Mon Mothma, like I feel like he could break and he could
Break.
like be irrational or emotional or be drunk like he was in these scenes and like make mistakes that could cost Mon Mothma. That's the vibe I'm getting.
And you mentioned his emotional state. We do learn that him and his wife are separated.
Yeah.
So obviously that's going to add a lot of emotional stress on him. Where when he's in a hard situation to make a decision, him not being in a healthy emotional state could affect his decision making. Um, and maybe the marital issues are related to him changing a focus on finances and stuff, that like his wife is like, well, why are you doing this with money? Why are you doing, like, what's, maybe she's
Yeah.
poking
Or like, why
questions
are you
and
hanging out with this other woman? Right. Like, I
right.
think that's also suspicious. Yeah.
Right. So it's like there could be unwanted attention on the foundation because
Mm,
of
mm, mm,
his
mm.
wife or something. and that's why
Hmm.
maybe he initiated the separation or something. But like,
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll find out more, but it's kind of nerve wracking. But
Yeah.
my theory, though, which because my mother, she's trying to use her Mothma fortune to like go through this foundation to fund the rebellion. Um, I feel like when because we see in Rebels, she finally, after the Gorman massacre, she rage quits the Senate and goes into hiding and becomes a Rebel Alliance leader. I feel like we're going to see her be like, well, I'm leaving anyway. They know who I am. She's just going to take all
Yeah.
of her money and just transfer it like blatantly. I think that'd be kind of funny just to see her like take all of her money. Her husband gets none. Like,
Yeah. Well, what is our read on whose money the family fortune is coming from? Like, what was the husband's value add in this arranged marriage? I assume he also brings a fortune.
I don't know. We don't get much details. I don't know if
Yeah.
we have much details about Mon Mothma's family background. Maybe it's explored in some of those other books, like when she becomes the Chancellor of the New Republic. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I need to lock in on the books. I was clearly like all in on the Chandrillan lore and like less interested in the rest of this episode. So
Right.
I'll report back next week with what I found out. Because I was just
Right.
wondering if like is his name also Mothma or is that her name and this is her estate and he's just along for the
Oh, that is
ride?
true
Like I
because
don't know.
it's the Mothma estate, so it's just her last name, her family's name. So she didn't take his
Well,
name.
I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe Mothma is his name. Like I don't know.
No,
We
okay,
don't know
now
what his last name is.
I have
Yeah.
to I have to Google it now. It's too
These are the important questions
fun.
that people come to us to find out the answers to.
Yeah, where did Mothma get her money? Like, what the heck? Blah blah blah. Perrin. Well, Perrin's last name is Firtha.
Okay, so that solves that.
We'll see if there's anything specific, any details about him. Ba 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 ba. Oh, there's this thing about his youth. I think he's just mooching off Mon Mothma. Seems like, I don't know.
But why would they have had an arranged marriage? Like there must be something he brings to the table.
I'm
Otherwise,
assuming
they
it's
wouldn't have.
probably just another affluent family that,
Yeah,
but I don't
where's
know.
his estate?
I don't know. Probably it's probably much smaller, so that's why the wedding's at the Mothma estate, not his. Um, uh,
Okay,
so Mothma is probably more rich than the Firtha family, but
makes sense.
yes.
That makes sense
But
why she's the
anyway,
senator. He's not.
right. Um, and also remember last season, Mon Mothma, we think purposely falsely accuses him of taking money for gambling to like
Yeah.
put the paper trail towards him if something comes
Hmm.
at the Mothma thing. So like maybe he just doesn't have any money because he gambled it all away. I don't know.
It's a good memory. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Which was an intense thing that Mon Mothma did. Lie about her
Yeah.
husband's gambling problem coming back. To throw him under the bus. It's kind of ruthless,
Yeah, but
but
the husband is bad news. Like I'm
yeah,
with just like forget Tay being Rush Clovis vibes. Like I don't know.
right.
The husband is like double Rush Clovis vibes.
Yep. But yes, so as Tay and Mon Mothma are kind of like secretly talking about something coming up with the Foundation, a lady comes and be like, "Hey, Mon, your daughter and her fiance had their first fight. She ran
Mm-hmm.
off." I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, what? Like, what's going on?" So I actually really, really love this scene
Me
between
too.
Mon Mothma and Lita because first season they're just arguing with each other, fighting. Lita hates her mom. She
Mm.
sides with her dad because dad gives her more freedom, and Mon Mothma, you can tell, feels very powerless to like be a positive influence on her daughter.
Hmm.
Um, and she goes to like this room. It's kind of like a ballroom, maybe kind of like a big.
Yeah.
Kind of remind me of the ballroom in Beauty and the Beast a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
But the lights are off, and Lita's on the ground, is crying, and Mon Mothma comes in and asks her what happened. And I really liked this
Hmm.
mother daughter moment. Like they finally were able to connect Mon was able to finally be a mother to her daughter, like in a drastic situation. And so she's like, well, what happened? Like, what's going on? And she says, he doesn't want to hold my hand. Every time I go to grab it, he pushes it away. And it's like, dang, dude, like she's excited for this cultural experience of getting married and all this. And it shows that the guy, the boy, like she says, he's just a child. Like she thinks of herself as an adult woman doing this, but he's still acting like a child. Doesn't want to like hold my hand, and she's just heartbroken. And like Mon Mothma apologized, like like when someone's going through something, like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through this type of thing. But like it was a very much of like a double thing where she's like, yes, I'm sorry you're experiencing this terrible moment, but you could tell her also saying, I'm sorry because I kind of let you get into the situation. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I am doing this thing behind the scenes with the money, and I allowed this to happen, and you are suffering because of it. Like
Hmm.
and like she was just then she just kind of like she apologized, and the camera just zoomed out, and it's just them sitting on the floor together while Lita cries. And it was like, you
Hmm.
don't need a long speech, you don't need a big pep talk, you just need the mother
Hmm.
sitting there with the daughter as she is grieving in a sense of like she's probably going to have a crappy marriage because of this. Like she's fearing, I see what the relationship is between my parents, and I don't want that with this guy, his boy.
Hmm.
I don't know. What were your thoughts watching this scene?
Yeah. No, I feel like you really crystallized it like perfectly. Like, I was so taken with how when she says, I'm sorry, it's so clear that she is like apologizing that she's forced her daughter into this arranged marriage. Or maybe not forced, because, like we said, like the daughter clearly wants to engage with this tradition, but she's let her daughter engage with this tradition, which she knows has the potential to be so like difficult. I think that the actress, her name is who plays Mon Mothma. It's like Genevieve
Genevieve
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Yeah, she does such a good job with just like showing so much emotion on her face, and yeah, it's really devastating. Yeah, and then like you said, like I agree with you that this is perhaps the first time we see like also at the same time like true compassion between Lita and Mon Mothma, and it like so it's like it so makes sense, right? Like if you're a girl, like a kid getting married and you're crying and you're upset, you don't want your dad to comfort you, no matter what sort of relationship you have with him. If he's closer than you to you than you are with your mom, like you want your mom to be there because like that's a moment where you need a mom. And I thought that was really powerful. And then yeah, I just thought it was a powerful reminder that yeah, of course he doesn't want to hold her hand because he's like a young boy who thinks that like touching girls is gross, you know?
You
Like, and
have
it's a reminder.
cooties.
Yeah, literally. Like, it's a reminder that their kids getting married. Like, they don't under like she's like more mature because she's like whatever, women mature quicker than men do. But like, it's also so like it all makes sense and it's all so tragic and powerful and yeah, I
Right.
really enjoyed the scene.
And it does reflect on Mon Mothma's like heart. Like she is a loving and caring person. Like I feel like when it comes like to Luthen, like he's very ruthless. He doesn't care about screwing. Like last season, he has that ISB implant that wanted to get out, and he has his
Mm,
speech. Like he's like, I'm not gonna let you get out. Like no, I'm sorry,
yeah,
I have bigger plans. Get back in. And
yeah,
like he's ruthless, heartless, but then Mon Mothma is very compassionate. And like it's not. This is a little minor spoiler for the Lost Stars, but like there's a similar moment where Mon Mothma um, consoles one of our main characters in the same way, and it's like very very sweet to see that Mon Mothma is very loving and caring and cares about individual people in the midst of a war type of thing. Um, and
yeah.
so,
She's caring and she cares about individual people and she clearly loves her daughter, but like at the end of the day, it's also interesting that she's not willing to call off the marriage. She's
Right.
like, I'm so sorry I'm putting you through this, but like, I'm not going to stop
Right.
because, at the end of the day, I do believe in the rebellion and like, you need to do this. So that's
Right.
interesting as well.
Right. I do kind of want to like in the Mandoverse, like if we see more Mon Mothma, like an adult Lita, like it'd be cool to see if like after all this time she's on her mom's side and they're like she's a politician too, like leading and doing good things with alongside her mom. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced Mon Mothma's whole family is going to get killed, but yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Right? We don't ever hear about them. Like where are they?
I don't know that Mon Mothma runs away, so it's like I don't know. You're right,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
her leaving would end up putting any family in danger. The Empire is definitely going to be cracking down on the
Yeah.
estate and
I
individual
I
people.
I wonder if they get killed before that though, because otherwise I assume she would have run away with them. But again, who knows? I guess we'll see.
We'll see. We got 11 more episodes to go, so we got a lot to cover still. But yeah, that's everything from the Mon Mothma stuff.
Hmm.
We'll go next with the Krennic stuff and then finish with Cassian.
Okay.
So we are introduced to a place called the Malthine Divide, which is a big mountainous, like snowy mountainous area where there's like a
Mm-hmm.
compound type thing. And we get Director Krennic. I'm like, oh dang! Like right away, we have him first episode, like first like 15 minutes or
Yeah.
whatever, and he's there with a very close circle of people that he will trust. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what's all this about? Like, okay, the Death Star production. Why are they here? What is he talking about? And he's like, um, just thinking of uh, like you guys are the only people in the galaxy that knows about this. He's like, not even
Hmm.
Tarkin knows about this. Not even Yularen knows about this. Like, this is that close. Then don't tell anyone. If you do tell anyone about this meeting, you are gonna go to the Emperor directly and get the
Hmm.
consequences for that. And
Hmm.
so I'm like, okay, what's about to happen? So then like the shade goes down on the big giant window, and very interesting like propaganda video plays, like a very
Yeah.
reminiscent of like a 1950s like utopian commercial or whatever you see like in movies and stuff of like
Yeah.
just this.
Or okay.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, obviously the whole empire is like Nazi Germany coded, and I felt like especially this whole scene was very like Nazi coded, and the propaganda video was giving me like, I don't know. I am not an expert on World War history, but if I am remembering correctly from high school, like the like Leni Riefenstahl like propaganda videos that the Nazis were putting out to like promote the German regime, and I don't know. Anyway,
Oh, I don't
I
even know about that. So that's interesting. What was it called? What do you
like
call it?
I think it's got like Leni Riefenstahl. That was like the woman that was making these propaganda films. Like I remember she made a big one around the Olympics to like promote like German and like Aryan greatness.
Oh,
So that's
interesting.
what I was thinking. Maybe it was an allusion to. But anyway, I'm not an
But like,
expert. Please feel
right,
free to correct me if anyone
right,
knows more about that era.
yep. But like the voiceover was very like reminiscent of like American 1950s like commercial, like where it's like promoting like a new
Yeah.
vacation spot or something like that. And
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
was interesting, especially because everyone is always British in the Empire. I also noticed immediately that it was an American accent.
which is funny. So like, what is this voiceover talking propaganda about? It's about the Gorman people and
Hmm.
how they're a very sophisticated culture and
Hmm.
they add so much to the galaxy because of
Hmm.
their fabric production made from the silk of these spiders. And they had like, it was like 400 billion of these spiders or whatever that they,
Yeah.
or something like that. And they make this silk and it gets, they have this 9 cities that all come work together to like do production and make the whatever and advertise it and sell it and like all this stuff. People from all around the galaxy come here and like the best. I'm willing to bet at the Chandrillan wedding and that party, a lot of those people are wearing Gorman
Mhm, mhm,
like
mhm.
made fabrics and stuff, and they're like, wow, this is kind of like interesting. Um, like it would have been cool if there was a reference in this arc, like at the wedding, like, oh, where'd you get this thing? Oh, this is a
Mhm.
Gorman. It'd be cool just to have that one little like tie-in. To, like these rich people are using the Gorman
Hmm.
fabric,
Hmm.
but they're just the things that's going on about all these people and like the culture and all this stuff, and um, in the middle of it, Crank turns it off. Like enough of that type of thing, and so um, it jumps, and then the next scene we kind of jump to like um, Krennic talking about the energy initiative of like
Hmm.
he uses the line the Emperor wants unlimited power, which is a
Yeah.
funny like pun in a sense where like he has like
Yeah.
unlimited power, and then like he
Mhm.
wants unlimited power to like rule the galaxy, but he also wants actual unlimited like energy power. Um, and he's like, everyone thinks that this Chandrillan fabric and these spiders are their only resource, the only thing that matters to the galaxy. But actually, there's another resource that not a lot of people know about that we actually want, and it is calcite, which is a
Okay.
mineral, and it's to coat the reactor lenses.
Hmm.
And so this is to this is needed to be harvested for the purposes of the Death Star reactor lenses. Didn't mention the Death Star, but it's kind of implied just because of what he's doing. Like he's
Yeah.
only working on the one project, so it's like needed for the thing. And it's like we have 3 years to get this done before we have our contract or our promise to have this project done. Um,
Hmm.
and it's basically we need to figure out how to get this mineral
Mhm.
without raising alarm in the galaxy, because
Yeah.
the Partagraz, the old guy from season 1 that was there with Dedra, like he says like they are a major planet, like they have a lot of power over the economy, and
Yeah.
like they
They're
have a
not
presence in
poor.
this, right? Like we can't just screw them over like other planets. Like if we bring something big to this thing, like everyone's in the galaxy is, no, we gotta like we can't have a galaxy like rising up against us type of thing. And so it's like Krennic's thing is like, all right, everyone, break up into twos, brainstorm ideas, get back to me in 20 minutes with some ideas. It was kind of like very high school, like group project type
Yeah.
thing.
Well, first the like propaganda guys are like, okay, here is our like propaganda spiel. Like
Oh yeah,
we're gonna turn the galaxy against Gorman. Like they're gonna be seen as like self-serving and like pretentious and whatever.
right. And so it's like very, what do they call it, the ministry of something was,
Enlightenment. A Ministry of Enlightenment. Yeah. Which
yeah.
was
And so
like straight out of a, I don't know, like George Orwell novel or something.
right. And so it's like we spin the narrative, like because like last year there was the trading lanes were shut down. Like we
Yeah.
spread information, like things that you think of what happened probably didn't happen the way it is, because we started the story, we changed it, and we made the story stop like based on
Yeah.
what we're doing. Like
Yeah.
very interesting of like them controlling the media in a sense, controlling the
Yeah.
narrative to like
Yeah.
control like what happened. Like they don't want it to get out of control because they know about the mineral also, and so very interesting.
I mean, which like not something that like just has historical parallels, obviously something that's like increasingly relevant in the world we live in today, where like there's all sorts of discussion about people like controlling the media on social media or like algorithms like giving you certain
Right.
perspectives.
Very, very, very interesting stuff. And it's like I kind of like want a show just about like the Empire manipulating the perception of reality.
Oh my
Like that would
gosh,
be
yeah, of course.
like even like okay, it's so funny that I'm referencing it again, but the Lost Stars book, like one of the individuals is, or they're both in the Imperial Academy at first, the two main characters, and like you get in on one of the sessions of like the Empire teaching them the history of the fall of the Republic, and like painted Mace Windu as like a thug that like stopped a legal execution of political prisoners or something like
Hmm.
that, and
Hmm. Hmm.
like how they teach the next generation all these things about like historical events that happen, but like the way they interpret them and like explain them is like a false narrative. And so it's like they're
Hmm.
doing this at like the very beginning of imperial academies, and
Hmm.
but they're also
Hmm.
doing it
Hmm.
on like their version of TMZ, like all the news of like going on in like the world, like in the galaxy. So
Hmm. Also, I
very,
just Googled it because I was curious, and like actually, really interestingly, the Nazi Ministry of Propaganda was called the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. So
oh
it was a clear
dang,
illusion, I guess. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I think there is like quite a few like comparisons between what they're going to do with Gorman and like the real world, and for anyone who is smarter than us and like knows what they are, like other wars they're connecting to, please let us know because I'm super interested. I
Right.
can't make them all myself.
Um, and so as they're talking about things, whatever, like one of the uh, people bring up like, if we do this mining project, it
Hmm.
would cause the entire planet to like collapse basically. Like
Yeah.
it's not just, taking, one part of the planet where you just do mining and you're gone. Like it would fundamentally cause the planet to like collapse and fall apart.
Yeah.
Like we see those pictures and stuff in various Star Wars things, like complete planets has been like falling apart, broken up. Um, and Sky King is in the chat. Welcome. Talking about
Hey.
episode 1 of Andor season 2. And so we are like listening to this guy talk about
Yeah.
this fall apart mic, and everyone's like, "Oh dang!" Like
Yeah. Yeah. To
we
their
gotta
credit, at least they're like shocked that the planet is going to collapse. Like everyone seems to be at least surprised by
right.
that.
So like it's like, how are we going to create something that what can we do to get this resource and hide the fact that we're destroying this planet and not let these people? Because I think was it Partagrass might have said something like, "There's 800,000 people on this planet."
Yeah.
Like, on a planet, that's not a lot, but like
That's
it's
not
still
a lot.
800 million people. Like,
1,000.
if 10,000 people, yeah, sorry, 800,000 people, like, even if it's like 1,000 people get off the planet and report what happened, like, that's a huge thing to like try and control. And
Yeah. Exactly. Like they if they're gonna destroy the planet, they need the narrative to be so like anti-Gorman that there isn't like that the rest of the planets are not rising up to come to their aid and like decry the Empire for committing atrocities or something like that.
right. And so, like you said, it's like a lot of the main ideas are just like propaganda, 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 and whatever. And then like Partagrass ends up talking to like one other guy, and he's like, we don't have a large presence on the planet, but like we're already ready to drill. Like we have the plans, we have the equipment. Like
Hmm.
in a couple of weeks, we can 2-3 weeks, we can just be there and start the mining process. Like we're ready to go. And
Hmm.
like Partagrass is like, interesting. And um, later it jumps, like the final scene that we get with the Krennic stuff is Dedra is just looking out the window at the mountains, and Krennic comes
Yeah.
up and he's like, I know who you are. I know what you've done. Like I asked for you to be here specifically because I know what you're capable of.
Hmm.
And like Dedra's like, oh, I'm just kind of taking everything in. Like I'm trying to like process like, all the different options. And he's like, I read your file. I know that during the propaganda thing, like you already had your idea ready to go right from the start before anyone else here. Tell me.
Hmm.
Like I'm your
Hmm.
superior. Tell me. And she's like, propaganda is only going to get you so far. And what she says is, what I think she's implying is we have to plant a Gorman rebel cell
Yeah.
that like will cause an uprising on the planet, and then that vilifies the people, and the Empire can come in and stop them, and no one will. They can even use that story to cover up what we know as the Gorman massacre. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I think they want to not just a rebel cell though, not like a good rebel cell, but like a like over the top, like overly aggressive, like kind of
right,
like Saw Gerrera esque rebel
right,
cell.
and so like we could possibly see in, I'm guessing in the second arc, when we're gonna see like maybe like a, in quotation marks, a terrorist attack on an
Yeah.
imperial mining facility or something like that. Um, and
Oh, it's such a good point, Jeremiah. Yeah. And then there will be like a commentary on like what is the difference between like rebellion and like terrorism.
right, and like even in Rogue One, kind of coincidentally, that how did they cover up the Jeddah test fire? There was a mining accident on Jeddah. Like they could just use the mining thing. Oh, there was a rising uprising against a mining project by the Empire, and like
Hmm.
they can take that, paint the propaganda around it, and then
Mm.
vilify the Gorman, and then they can just go in and kill everyone, and the galaxy won't care,
Yeah.
except for Mon
Yeah,
Mothma.
exactly. Because if the Gorman rebels are like killing innocent civilians, nobody's going to be sympathetic to them.
Right. So it's, as much as like the Empire is evil, like it's still really smart, like on their end of like how they paint a picture, how they control everything and get what they want, and no one realizes anything bad's happening. Like it's just
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
that's like how authoritarian government works. It is really scary.
Yep. So that is the Krennic stuff. And we just have one more storyline, the main story that like
Yeah. The
everyone's
main story that's like maybe not as interesting in this episode because all this other stuff is so juicy.
right. So we are at a uh, on the planet Senor, test
Mm-hmm.
facility number 73,
Yeah.
and we see this hangar open, like all the lights turn on, like here in real life when a big hangar lights turn on, like it's like one at a time, really slow, it takes forever to turn on. Like this is like machine gun fire, like all the lights turn on and like
Yeah.
thing, and this woman walks in by herself, and she goes onto this special ship. I'm terrible with ships. I don't know if we know the name of this kind of ship. I don't know. I'm bad.
Yeah, I
Some
don't care, so I don't know
Yep.
either.
Some new TIE fighter, whatever prototype. She goes in and she just, I don't know what the heck she was doing, but like she goes in with this little like blue like laser gun thing. This like points it at different spots and like it beeps, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know what that means. Part of me wants to think that like it was like a invisible like thing that like Cassian could use to like scan a light on it, and it would like show up where she like think like you need to use this button, so she like put like a
Oh.
invisible thing on it. But I don't know. It's not really explained.
I don't think
Um,
so. I think she was just like whatever doing like her job, which is to like check to make sure everything is in order. Like check, 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 like
right.
lock. I don't know. It's like tech stuff.
I was like,
Anyone who
okay,
likes tech, please chime in.
yep. So I was just like, okay, whatever. She's doing something, and then it goes to like a little cafeteria room with a bunch of like tables, lunchroom area, break room, and Cassian is just at the end looking out the window, and he's in this cool like
Ugh,
Imperial pilot.
he is
Like,
so cool.
yep, like that's gonna be a cosplay that people are gonna have pretty soon.
Yeah, Diego
Um,
Luna is great.
is he a crush of yours or something, or what? You're just kind of
I,
like,
yeah, like for sure. Like
oh, I don't
forget
know.
Ryan Gosling. If I was gonna have to pick, like I don't know. I just think I think he's more interesting. He brings more to the table. I wouldn't say he's a crush, but
Oh, okay.
he
Um,
definitely looks cool while playing Andor and playing all roles.
okay. Yep, he's pretty cool. So he's just there, and then while he's sitting looking out, like two like snow troopers walk by in the hallway, and he puts his hand on his gun, like
Mm.
ready to like go. Like,
Mm, mm, mm,
okay,
mm,
I'm like,
mm,
but
mm.
I'm like thinking like, how is he in this facility just like there, like
Yeah,
whatever. And so then
whatever.
the lady from that was checking the ship, she comes in,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Are you Naya?" And she's like, "Yes." And so he is a test pilot in quotation marks, and she's basically like, everything's a go, everything's set, and she's super nervous because we find out in this like she's like the one person in this facility that is the mole. Like she's, I think she, it implies that like she grew up, or like she's like in the system realize the evils of the Empire and want to do something
Mm-hmm.
about it. And she somehow got in contact with the rebellion. And she's got like the data key stick or whatever, and gives them like, this is what you need to get into the start the ship or whatever. And she's just starting to freak out a little bit. And Cassian comes in and gives her pep, like, what you're doing is good. Like, you're so brave. Like, and she's like, is this going to be worth it even if I die? And he's like, yes, like, this is worth it. Like, then I'm willing to bet we're never going to see this woman ever again. We don't know what happened to her. She's been playing this part for, it seems like a while, because like another like lady comes by and she's super distraught, and then when the lady comes by, she like switches it, and she's like super happy. Hey, how's it going? Oh, this is a new like test pilot. He just arrived, and like all this stuff. And then the lady leaves, and they start talking, and she's like, tears are going down her face when she's like realizing what's happening. And I don't know, I thought it was a really good scene. I'm like, this is like the opening scene. Like, how much better is this episode gonna get?
Yeah, exactly. And it's such excellent foreshadowing too, when she's like, is it worth it if I die? And like, I'm sure you've thought about it. And he is like, yeah, like it's for I forget what he said. It's like moments like these that make it worth it, which is, I don't know, it just like helps us start to think about how he's thinking about his role in the Empire and like, or in the rebellion, and you know, his willingness to sacrifice his life, since we know he ultimately does.
Yeah, and he has like a lot of the, like in season 1, he has a lot of like, one of his love languages is words of affirmation. Like he's really good at encouraging people and like getting them grounded. So like, look, this is scary, but like, you're brave, you're doing something good. Like he's very much like encouraging her. And she says like, you gotta wait for my supervisor to leave. He never stays late. And after I leave this room, I need 12 minutes to get out, like to basically escape, she's implying. And he then goes to the hangar and gets into the ship, and is like, there's no seat. Like, he's like freaking out, like, there's no seat. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Like,
which I loved, because I feel like maybe we've talked about this before. Like, it's always so confusing to me that like every like Jedi character, or like every character gets in a ship and they're just like, okay, like I can fly this. And like this was like, per like usual with Andor being so human and grounded, this was such a like human moment. Like, of course, like he's this incredibly talented guy, and like this is like a new test type of TIE fighter, and he doesn't know how to fly it. Like, yeah, makes sense.
I'm like, did someone like come in like when that lady came in and took the seat out? Like they had to do a repair or something? I don't know. I was like, he's like, I don't know, I gotta go. Like, I can't sit here. So he's like, I have to sit here. So he sits down, and then the seat like comes up, and like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is like some high tech like whatever. And like he starts pushing buttons to like turn it on. Like weapons are starting to open up. Like, I don't know about that button. And like the controls are really weird. And he finally gets it on, and he's like, all right, the hangar door opens, and he like goes to like classic, he goes to push forward and it goes backwards. Like every movie does that when someone gets in a new vehicle for the first time or whatever. And so then he just starts bouncing around in this hangar, crashing into things. And then stormtroopers come in, and they're just like shooting at him and whatever. He takes one of the weapons and is able to like kill them all. Cool, whatever. Turns around, like finally figured out to turn around, and then there's like a snowtrooper with a rocket launcher, and he dodges it just in time. And he's trying to get one of the weapons to work, and it's not working. It's about to fire, and then he gets it to work and blows up the guy, but also blows a giant hole in the hangar wall. Like, oh dang, that guy got, that's gonna hurt in the morning for that guy. Like, and so then he has to blow through the door with more shots, and then he gets out. Like crash lands a little bit on the outside, like on the edge of a cliff. 2 TIE fighters or whatever are coming in to like come at him, and they're shooting rockets at him, and he dodges out of the way, going through a cannon. And it's just this cool, like, this is like one of the best looking like starfighter like chase scenes in Star Wars. Like, it looks so good. At night, he's like going through these canyons, and he goes under this tunnel thing, like shoots it, so like when it falls down, like it hits the TIE fighters behind him, and then he's able to escape. cool. I'm like, this was the opening scene, like this whole like facility. I'm like, this is gonna be a really good show.
Mm.
And so we go to some random planet that he goes and lands, and immediately he's like, something's not right.
Yeah,
There's like
notable that they don't give us the name of the planet. That's a good highlight.
yeah, because like no one's supposed to know about this planet. Maybe it's like not on the radar of the Empire. That's why he's can do this as like a check mark type thing. And so like he goes there, lands, and immediately something's wrong. Like there's a crash ship in the distance, like, and it's like jungle, woods, forest thing. And then like people yell out like, "Don't move! You're surrounded. There's
Yeah.
15 of us." Oh, why'd you
Yeah.
gotta tell them there's 15 of us? Does it
Yeah.
really matter? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
it does
exactly.
matter. Blah blah blah. And like,
Very
there's
dysfunctional vibes.
it was just kind of a funny whatever. And so um so Cassian's looking for a guy named Porco.
Mm-hmm.
That is not, he's like yelling out for Porco. And then these guerrilla warfare looking guys, like all like scrubs, like with weapons, like very unorganized, come out, surround him, and he's like, "Where's Porco? We don't know what you're talking about." Blah blah blah. And so like this whole everything else in this episode is about Cassian just being held captive by these guys. They're all arguing. They're all dysfunctional. Like they crash landed. Their leader, you find out, is Maya Pied or something like that. It's like the Maya Pied rebel cell, or like, and it's like Cassian. I don't know if he actually knows her or not. He might have just been lying. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know Maya. Like, we've been funny. We're on part of the same rebellion." So it's like, I don't know if he was telling the truth or he was lying, but
it's a good point. I assumed that he was telling the truth, but you're right. He could have been lying.
I think at first I believed it, but like he got that information like because he was that guy that was all by himself guarding him. Like he got in his head and got information from him. So I think he just got the information and went with it. I kind of am now leaning to that now.
Yeah. Yeah, because either way, the point like stands. It's like interesting that the rebellion is like increasingly formalized, but also like diffuse enough that you can have a situation like this where like theoretically they're both on the same team, but they don't trust him and they're completely like unsupplied and unprepared. And yeah, you can see why it took them 20 years to defeat the Empire.
Yeah, so it's like, but it also like points like because they're so like disconnected, why the Rebel Alliance is necessary. Yeah, and so like to connect them and be fully organized. And so I don't know. So so this rebel group, they're like find the ship or go to the ship that he brought, and like they're trying to like figure out how to fly it, and their pilot lady is like, "This is way too complicated for me. I don't know, what does this button do? I don't know." And Cassie's like, "Don't push that button. I don't know what it does." Yeah. Like, and they're just trying to figure out. They're all arguing on what to do. Like, there's just no organization. Like, there's the one guy like with like the darker skin with like the long hair. He's from some other movie or show that I've seen recently. I don't know where he's from. Really? Though. I recognized him. But they all have weird, crazy names, and like there's so many names they're throwing on.
So
like,
many names.
I don't know who.
You can barely keep the names of the main characters straight. One of them was like Gurkis, right?
Gurkis,
or
and there's
Birdie.
Yeah, there's all these weird Star Wars names.
All right, yeah.
So if anyone's out there who's gonna have their first kid coming up, this is a great episode to brainstorm names. So there's just so many names to go through. And so they're all arguing, and at some point. So like there's one point where like everyone's talking and trying to figure out what to do with Cassian, but Cassian's off in distance with one guy guarding him, and he's like, "So do they really trust you, or do they just think you're just dumb? Like you're not smart enough to be in that conversation over there?" Yeah, it's getting in his head, and then he's like, Cassian's like you guys weren't here. You guys have been here 2 days. You don't have any food. Blah blah blah. And the guy's like, "How'd you know we were only here for 2 days?" And Cassian's like, "Well, I was here 3 days ago, and you weren't here." And so that was kind of like the whole getting in the head of that guy. And then eventually he comes in with Cassian, and starts arguing, blah, blah, blah. And then the last scene, I'm going to see if there's anything else I missed. There's just a whole like the daylight. It's like, it's going to be dark soon. And two of the guys that were like watching Cassian were like, well, that's when the beasts come out. Like, you're going to see them. and like the ship, they're messing with the ship in the back, and like they accidentally let off the machine gun like rapid fire thing. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh,
Whoops.
yep. And so the last scene, they all start getting a fight. Like one guy, like lady, like insults the one guy, and the guy say it again. She says it, and he shoots her. I was like, oh shoot!
Yeah.
And then he gets
Whoa.
shot back, and then it's just a big shootout. Cassian starts running, and two guys tackle him. Like, oh, they're just trying to stop him. But I think those two guys were the people that said, oh, the beasts are coming out. Like, I think they are liking him, and they started running with him. I think they're trying to protect him. Like, they
Well,
believe Cassian.
yeah,
But
well, I don't know about that, but or maybe that, but also like they just like at least they're smart enough to realize he's the only one that can fly the ship because clearly
that
none of
too.
them were able to, like even their pilot.
Right. So it's like, at least there's like two little like allies in a sense with Cassian that are
Yeah.
going to help him, I think. And the way the episode ends is the camera, the three of them are running towards the camera, and a blaster shot goes right at the camera, and it just goes
Yeah.
black. And I
Mm.
yelled out, no, I want more. Like, what am I
Oh, I
doing?
know.
And I'm
I
like,
know.
why? I was like, I went to Discord and I was like, why are we watching only one episode at a time? Blah, blah, blah. So that's like when I told Drew and Andrew, I was like, I might make an executive decision and watch both episodes, and Drew and I tonight will try and break down both episodes. But like, it'll be like a 3 hour plus episode. So I don't know. I'm going to watch after this recording now. I'm going to watch the second episode if it's short enough. Like it is a little bit shorter, but like it's still a full length episode. And I'm like, I don't know if Drew and I can cover 2 episodes in one time, but we'll see. But that's the episode. Strong start, super amazing, 10 out of 10. Grace, what other thoughts? Anything, any theories, predictions, or do you think we kind of covered it pretty well
No
tonight?
other
Any other
thoughts. I
ideas?
mean, I feel like what I love most about Andor is that like I don't need to theorize, you know? It's just like so rich as it is. Like I'm less here for the twists and turns and more here for the like interesting, thought-provoking scenes that like, you know, get us in our feelings about the nature of humanity and society and rebellion and resistance.
And some awesome fashion on the Mothma estate
And
too.
yes, give me more Chandrilla. Oh my gosh. Yes. Highlight of the season so far. I'm all in on Chandrilla.
Grace, I
Speaking
know
of
you haven't.
crushes. Oh,
What?
what?
You have a crush
No,
on?
no, not me, but my dad is obsessed with Mon Mothma. He's all in on the Mon Mothma
Oh,
Chandrilla
okay.
plot
I
as
was
well.
I was gonna say you haven't done any cosplay for a while, but you should try and mimic some of these, replicate some of these costumes
Yeah.
designs that you.
Perhaps I will when I start my job this summer, you know. Will put all of my hard-earned money towards cosplay and none of it to rent
Get
or
some of that Gorman
expenses or
silk.
yeah, I'll just buy a lot of Gorman silk. Perfect. Perfect. Very like financially responsible. I'm glad we have a plan.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't really have any more theories. I think we kind of were pretty exhaustive in our thoughts on this episode. This one thing I forgot to mention, just from the Mon Mothma thing. There's a scene when Luthen is talking with a dad and son, and the son is like at a Imperial Academy, like flight academy or something on Skarsgård, and he's like, "Yeah, I was there, but like we're all getting moved around." And Luthen's like, "Oh, where are you guys all getting moved to?" Like to get a little into.
Hmm.
I thought that was a really cool detail. That like, dang, Luthen's so cool. but
Luthen is really cool.
but yeah, that's everything. No voicemails, so we're gonna keep those for tonight. So I know that's everyone's favorite time of every episode, but you'll just have to tune in to tonight with Drew and I for that episode. Episodes at least episode 2. We might cover the other episode as well, the third episode, and get it all done in one sitting. But I'm excited. Thank you, Grace, for joining me with this. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Same first episode
Yeah.
of arc number 2.
Exciting. Can't wait.
Can't wait. And yeah. So if you are new, because I know we get a lot of a jump in listeners during show breakdown and stuff. So if you are listening, you've made it all the way to the end, and you want to get connected with us more, please do so. There's a link in the description, links.co/Empire Radio. Links spelled 2 I's, landing page for everything Empire Radio. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So if you're just listening to audio version, follow us on Spotify or something, we do video versions on YouTube. So go check that out. When Drew is on, we do live streams on Twitch for every episode. So you can join us in the chat and fact check us. We have a couple people that joined us this morning in our Discord live stream. And so
nice.
That's cool. But always there for you guys to like join us and join the conversation while we're recording. It's a lot of fun to get, we'll have fact checking, like, hey, look this up for us. Like people will do that for us. Go check that out. Also join the Discord. Like I just mentioned, we have Discord. Follow us. We got a whole channel. If you just want to sit down and talk about Andor with other people, in your thoughts and theories and likes and dislikes, go join Discord, as well as all the other stuff like movies, shows, everything else. We have a meme channel. Go check that out. But also,
I'd like for some of our high school listeners to, write essays about Andor and its connections to historical themes. I think.
Yeah, and you can cite really Empire Radio as one of your sources.
You could, or you could just send us the essays so that we can read them.
Yeah, Grace said on this podcast once.
As long as you use the appropriate citation format, I guess that's appropriate.
Yep. And and so there's a link for to send a voicemail. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this show or just anything about anything. Send us a voicemail. It's a lot of fun. And there's a email if you ever need to email us about anything. I think that's everything. Grace, what is? Oh, Yaretsi says to use the MLA citations.
MLA, okay.
Do people use MLA anymore? I don't even know.
I did in high school. I'm partial to Chicago style, but I'd be happy to read an MLA essay for anyone who wants to share one.
What's the industry standard these days?
It depends on the industry, right?
Oh, I don't know.
For law, it's blue book citations, but they're disgusting. I do not recommend them.
Okay. Good to know. The more you know here at Empire Radio. But anything else, Grace?
No.
Okay. Well, you've been listening to another Andor-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Grace.
And may the Force be with you.
Always. Bye, guys.